Hi everyone, Jeff Heath here, principal of Middletown High School. I wanted to take the next couple of minutes to reach out to you and share some information about our distance learning program. I hear that there's been some confusion out in the community and even in the building itself in regards to what the expectations are for distance learners. So over the next couple of minutes, as I said, I wanted to clear up some of that information. First off, I'd like to start with the goal of our distance learning program. The goal of the Middletown High School distance learning program is to provide students access to our rigorous and engaging MHS curriculum through various synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. To this end, we have a couple of programmatic aims that we're looking to achieve. First is to ensure that distance learning students continue to receive instruction from MHS teachers with an MHS curriculum. Second is to provide as much access as possible for distance learners to their teachers within our allotted resources. Third is to accommodate the varied needs of families. And fourth is to remain within the framework of contractual agreements with professionals throughout the district. So what's the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning? Those are two words that we've heard used an awful lot since last March. So I want to take a second to just go over what the expectations are for each of those categories. Synchronous learning opportunities allow for students to learn together at the same time. Instruction and discussion occur in real time, often in a face-to-face setting. The most common example of synchronous learning are the traditional InPerson models that we're so used to seeing in schools, where teachers learn in a classroom with other students in front of one teacher or more teachers. The second option that became a little bit more familiar last March due to COVID-19 was the Zoom or the Google Meet synchronous learning, where a teacher or an instructor logs onto a computer and students participate across digital platforms with the teacher, with other students, and potentially teachers' aides or other professionals. The final option of synchronous learning that's happening this fall and is brand new are teachers that are out of the building for one reason or another being zoomed into the classroom to teach students who are being supervised by some type of other professional in the building. These at-home teachers are again delivering synchronous instruction to their students in class, while a substitute teacher or some other professional oversees classroom management responsibilities. Asynchronous learning is a little bit different. In an asynchronous model, students learn at different times. Instruction and discussion are not live and often occur in a digital or virtual setting. This model might require students to log onto a computer, regardless of their class time, to participate in assignments that have been posted online, to watch videos of their teacher or other professionals teaching a concept, or to engage with other students over content that's not being delivered at that given moment. At Middletown High School, our distance learners will be engaged predominantly in asynchronous learning. This type of learning will be facilitated by digital classrooms, particularly Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams. Individual teachers will be asked to share links with students and also codes to access these classrooms so that students may access their coursework throughout the week and also ask questions of the teacher via email. In addition to posting assignments in their Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, teachers will also be posting videos to help facilitate the delivery of content. Teachers may be creating videos themselves using platforms like Windows Movie Maker or Adobe Premiere Pro. They also might be recording themselves either giving a lecture to a classroom full of students or by themselves. Teachers may also be referring students to professional websites such as Khan Academy to learn based off of pre-recorded videos from other professionals that meet the standard of Middletown High School. For your reference, I now have a picture of Middletown High School's daily schedule on the screen. We're going to go into a little bit more detail to discuss what this means for distance learners. Perhaps our most important day for distance learners are Mondays, what we're titling Red Days. As you can see on the schedule above, all class periods meet on red days, particularly in the morning. Distance learners, in-person learners, and remote learners alike will have to log onto their computer at the given times, and they'll have live face-to-face interactivity with their classroom teachers. The entire class of students will be engaged in this type of learning. Teachers may elect to keep certain students on longer time periods than others, but generally speaking, the periods will be about 20 minutes apiece. After morning interactions, students will go off and continue to do asynchronous work, while teachers will remain available for virtual office hours from 10:25 to 11:20, followed by afternoon time, where teachers will continue to plan their instruction and content delivery for the upcoming week. Tuesdays through Fridays will be dedicated to asynchronous learning for our distance learners. This means that distance learners will engage with their coursework via Google Teams or Microsoft Classroom, and will engage with their teachers primarily through an asynchronous model where they email or reach out to their teachers for responses and clarification. Here is a graphic that represents the schedule for synchronous and asynchronous learning for our distance learners. Please note that Mondays are the synchronous day, where distance learners will be meeting with their teachers in person, followed by Tuesdays through Fridays, which will be asynchronous, allowing for students to complete work at their own pace. Please note that on asynchronous days, certain teachers may ask students to log into their classroom at specific times. For this reason, distance learning students should carefully monitor their email to see if there are opportunities for live streaming or video learning throughout the course of the week. Several families have reached out and asked if a student could participate in sports or other extracurricular activities if they're on distance learning. The answer is yes. So at this moment, students who are on distance learning are able to participate in extracurricular programming through the school. Please follow school correspondence to see what those opportunities are as they continue to approach. There are some families that have reached out to discuss concerns about the amount of focused instructional time in-person students get compared to our distance learners. I'd like to take a minute just to explore that question a little bit more deeply. Currently, our in-person learners are attending school in person 2 days a week, as you can see highlighted by the graphic on the screen. If a student, let's say with the last name Anderson, is attending school Tuesdays and Thursdays, that same student will be remote learning on Wednesdays and Fridays. This means that our sample student will be in the building on Tuesdays, meeting with his or her teachers face-to-face for their A, B, advisory, and E period classes. On that Wednesday, that same student will then go home and participate in a remote learning program, which is almost exactly the same as the distance learning program that's being presented to our distance learners. This same sample student will be back in person to learn on Thursdays, white days, where they'll see their C, D, F, and G teachers in person. For those students participating in in-person learning, they will see their teachers face-to-face twice a week. On Mondays, red days, with the remainder of the distance learners, as well as on the color day, whether it be a blue or a white day, throughout the week. So students that are attending in person and go to period A will only see that teacher face-to-face one time in the building per week. On Thursdays, on our first white day, that same student will see their period C teachers face-to-face one time per that week. The reason I point this out is not to validate the little amount of time that students are meeting with teachers face-to-face, either distance learning or otherwise. It's to point out the fact that within the 50-50 model that we currently have to operate under, all students, unfortunately, are not receiving a lot of face-to-face instruction. We're extremely hopeful that as conversation continues at the state level, as well as the Department of Education, in unison with the Department of Health, that better solutions are on the horizon, and students across the board, whether they be distance learners or in-person learners, will have a safe and equitable way to access the education at Middletown High School. I hope that this brief video has helped to clear up some of the concerns about when students are expected to be logged onto their computers in a distance learning model, when students are expected to be completing their work in a distance learning model, and how to reach out to teachers and correspond. Should you have any concerns, questions, or comments, or any ideas as to how we as a school community can improve upon this program, I'd ask that you reach out to me directly via my email, which is currently on the screen, or my office phone so that we can continue the discussion. Thank you for all of your time, your patience, your consideration, and your concerns as we continue to navigate this extremely difficult circumstance. Take care, everyone, and we'll be in touch soon.